Great new day to all my self care family and friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Room2Breathe Podcast, the space where we untangle life's chaos and dig deep to give ourselves permission to exhale, right? I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm so thrilled to have each and every one of you here with us today. Whether you're listening from the comfort of your home, on your morning commute, or while you're out taking a walk, I'm grateful that you've carved out this time for yourself. Now, before we dive into today's episode, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to tap the screen, like, comment, and share. Your support helps us to connect with more amazing people like you. And if we're not friends already, please be sure to give us a follow, subscribe to our channel, so that way you never miss out on our latest content. I also invite you to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org. We've got some awesome affirmative apparel, motivational merch, and a bunch of free resources designed just for you. It's all about empowering yourself and embracing your journey. No matter what challenges you are currently facing in life, know that you are not alone on this journey. We're in this together, supporting and uplifting each other every step of the way. It is time for us to choose to prioritize our well being, to embrace our growth, and to find peace in the present moment. So let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Let me see some green hearts in the chat if you are ready today. Hey, Humble. What up, Papa Smurf? We got Tracy, Reese, Linda, Danny. I see you. I see you, Nicole. How you doing today? Thank you guys again for being here. And look, if this is your first time tuning in, let me just say welcome home. Okay? You didn't land here by accident. Whether you showed up out of curiosity, pain, divine alignment, right? I believe that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And of course, if you're one of my regulars, thank y'all for riding with me, for breathing through life's mess with me, and for showing up to this sacred space week after week. Now, today's episode might hit a little differently. We're diving into something that doesn't get enough credit in the world, that glorifies hustle, noise, and being constantly plugged in, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. How everybody wants to be seen and heard and followed and liked and needed. But what happens? What happens when you realize you're always available for everyone else and never really present for yourself? What's up, Lady Blue? What happens when the version of you that shows up for others is exhausted and the version of you that shows up for you is barely holding on? So, today I want to talk about what it looks like to unplug, not just from social media or a group chat, but I want to talk about unplugging from expectations, the noise, the distractions, and even people who unknowingly keep you from healing. The truth is simple, but it's often misunderstood. And the fact of the matter is that sometimes the most healing thing that you can do is to just be alone for a while. And I'm not talking about forever, right? Not as a punishment, but as a sacred pause, a divine detox, right? A reset that reminds you of who the hell you are outside of these roles, relationships, and routines that have seemed to shape our survival. See, there's a difference in solitude and loneliness. So let's start by clearing that up, right? Let's start by clearing this up. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. Right, T? See, we've been trained to treat loneliness like a curse. What up, Kiki? Welcome home. Right? Welcome home, y'all. Kiki in the house. So listen, y'all, we've been trained to treat loneliness like a curse. Like, if we ain't booed up or brunching with the besties, hey, queen. If, we're not booed up, we're not brunching with the besties or keeping our calendar packed tight, then something must be wrong with us, right? If I'm not booked and busy, something has to be wrong with me. But let me tell you something that I had to learn the hard way. Sometimes the most dangerous thing that you can do is surround yourself with the wrong energy just to avoid your own. Hey, goddess. Did I step on somebody's toes? Should I say, ooh? Okay, ooh. Let's back it up. Let me say it again for the people scrolling in while half listening. It's early. Show them some grace, y'all. Sometimes the most dangerous thing that you can do is surround yourself with the wrong energy just to avoid your own. Just to avoid your own energy, right? See, that kind of loneliness, being around people who don't see you, being around people who drain you, right? Who treat your heart like a convenience store. That's the worst, right? Honestly, that is worse than being alone. That is like a soul starvation. And listen, I'm going to be real with y'all, okay? There was a time in my life where I was surrounded. Honey, I was surrounded. But I was empty. I had people texting me, calling me, needing me, but none of them really knew me. And truth be told, I didn't know myself either. I was busy being who everyone else needed me to be, and I was completely disconnected from who I needed to be for myself. You're right, Lo, it is suffocating. It wasn't until I hit a wall. And when I'm talking about y'all, when I hit a wall, it was emotionally, spiritually, physically, like it just hit me where I just stopped, right? I I unplugged. I sat in silence. What up, Rochelle? Janelle, welcome in. And y'all listen, when I sat in that silence, like on the color purple where she says she sat in that jail. Y'all listen, when I sat in that silence, baby, that silence was loud. Okay? It was loud. I had to face parts of me that I didn't even realize I had been avoiding. I had to confront the people pleaser. I had to talk to the fixer, the martyr, right? The version of me that was overcompensating because I didn't feel like I was enough just as I was. And so in that stillness, y'all, I found somebody else too. I didn't even realize that she still existed. I found that little girl in me that just wanted to be loved, right? That little girl in me who just wanted to be loved because she simply existed. Not for what she did, but for who she was. And I learned that I had to love her first. And see, here's the thing, you've got to learn to love you first so you can teach others how you need to be loved. You can't expect anyone to treat you better than you treat yourself. If you're not giving yourself the respect, the care, and the love that you deserve, then how are they supposed to know how to love you if you don't show them the way? Right? People are watching how you treat yourself. So they notice when you put everybody else first and leave yourself for last. They see when you don't protect your time. They recognize when you don't protect your energy, your peace. And so they're just going to mirror that back to you. And here's the truth, whether you realize it or not, that becomes the blueprint for how people treat you. Welcome in, Kale. If you disrespect your own time, then the people around you will follow suit. If you say yes when your spirit is screaming no, they're going to expect the same. If you're constantly putting your needs last, they'll treat you like your needs don't matter. Because, baby, if it don't matter to you, why should it matter to them? If you're constantly abandoning yourself for the sake of keeping everybody else comfortable, then they're going to get used to that, right? They'll expect you to keep putting yourself last. And before you know it, you're the one who's lost. You're the one who's lost. You're the one who's drained, out of touch with your truth. And now, all of a sudden, you're resentful of your own life. She ready. Kevin, welcome in. But listen, when you start honoring your boundaries, what up, Rose? When you choose to protect your peace like it's the most precious thing, that's love, right? That's love. That's healing. And all of this begins with solitude. When you stop answering calls that leave you feeling empty instead of, you know, filling your cup up, right? When you choose to say no without guilt, that's love. When you cancel that brunch or that meeting because your soul simply needs a little space to breathe, and what you don't need is more small talk, that's healing. When you stop ignoring your own needs to be there for everyone else, instead of, instead you choose to show up for yourself, right? You choose to put your needs in front or first. That's growth. That's wisdom. That's the path to reclaiming your energy and your joy. And I know that it's not always easy, right? It doesn't even feel natural at first because we've gotten so used to putting ourselves last. But it's doable. Thank you for the gifts. It's doable, right? And in a world that demands constant presence, right? It wants you to constantly be on and be present. Your endless energy, your perpetual hustle, right? Saying no can feel like a rebellion, but it's a revolution. It's your revolution. And it's the only one that's worth fighting for. When you start loving yourself first, you're teaching other people how to love you too. Not by what you say, but by what you do. Because actions speak louder than words. And your actions become the map. Your choices become the guide. And so here's how you know that your self love journey is truly taking root. When you stop over explaining yourself, you're making roots. When you stop apologizing for prioritizing your own well being, you've added more roots. When you stop staying in spaces that drain you simply because you felt obligated, we've been friends for years, that's my family. When you stop staying in those spaces, you're making new roots. Most importantly, when you stop shrinking, when you stop dimming your light, when you stop bending over backwards to keep other people comfortable at the expense of your own peace, You're taking root. And that's when you know you started learning to love yourself. You stop making excuses for people who don't respect your boundaries. You stop giving energy to the things that will never give back. And instead, you make space for the things and the people that reflect the love that you've given to yourself. It starts with solitude. It starts when you decide that you are finally worth worthy of peace, silence, and space to simply be. There's nothing that you have to do to deserve room to breathe. It starts when you refuse to let the world tell you how to love yourself because you already know how. It's already in you. You've always known. And learning to love yourself is not a destination, y'all, right? It's a practice. It's showing up for yourself day after day in big ways and small ones. It's standing firm in your truth even when others try to make you doubt it. It's choosing yourself even when it feels like it's the hardest thing for you to do. I promise you, it is worth it. Because when you love yourself first, you will never have to beg anyone else to love you. You'll wake up every day knowing that I love me, so anybody else's love for me is just a bonus. I don't have to beg anybody to love me. I love me, right? You will never have to fight for respect. And you will never again have to shrink to make space for somebody else to be comfortable. So honor your boundaries, guard your peace fiercely, honor your time, your worth, your needs, your soul, and don't apologize for any of it. That's love. That's healing. That's your revolution. But it starts with you. And y'all know that healing is not always cute, right? Sometimes it's the ugly cry on the floor. Sometimes it's journaling stuff you didn't even know was still inside of you. Sometimes it's waking up and realizing the person you miss is the same person who had you questioning your worth. But healing is also quiet. It's awkward. It's messy, but it is liberating. It is freeing. Because on the other side of that solitude is a version of you that doesn't shrink anymore, that doesn't tolerate the crumbs when you know you're the whole feast. You're the whole meal. I ain't got to be nobody's snack, baby. I'm the meal, right? And so I encourage you guys to take a moment today to just sit in silence, just for 10 minutes. Put it on your schedule. Sit in silence. And during that silence, I want you to ask yourself, where have I been avoiding myself? Is it in relationships? Is it in your habits? Is it in your constant busyness? And then I want you to ask yourself, do I, what do I really need right now? What is it that I need right now? Don't wait for someone else to give it to you. You know what you need. And you ultimately know what you deserve. Right? Now, y'all know me. I'm always gonna figure out a way to take this to a spiritual side for us. So listen. The Bible talks about self-care, y'all, whether y'all want to believe this or not. The Bible talks about self-care. So listen. If Jesus himself had to retreat in the wilderness to pray and reset, what makes you think you don't need to? I mean, let's get real here. Jesus, the Son of God, the one who performed miracles, healed the sick, taught thousands, even he knew the power of solitude. And not just any kind of solitude. I'm talking about that purposeful retreat. He withdrew. Why can't you? Let me take y'all to the Bible for a minute. In Luke 5:16, it says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." Let's think about that for a second. If Jesus needed time away from the crowd to stay spiritually grounded, to connect with God, and to recharge, why do we think we're any different? We out here running ourselves ragged, caught up in the noise of the world, and then wondering why we feel disconnected, burnt out. Right? We trying to figure out why we feel all burnt out. We over here like, truth is, I'm tired. I bet you are tired because you ain't took time to reset. Right? Running ourselves ragged, burning the candle at both ends. We have to understand that solitude is sacred. It is not something to fear. It's not a punishment. It's not selfish. It's where the revelations happen. It's where clarity comes. It's where you get your divine downloads, the peace, the answers that you've been searching for. Some of y'all are trying to find answers in everybody else's opinion. Some of y'all are walking around here seeking guidance in the opinions of friends, family, social media. But here's the thing, when you what you really need is time alone. And when I say alone, I'm talking about with simply God and yourself. You need space to hear the quiet whispers from the Holy Spirit. You need time to align your heart with God's will for your life. You need moments where you can sit in His presence and let Him speak directly into your soul. But see, we're so afraid of silence. So afraid of silence. We're so caught up in the hustle, the noise, the busyness of life that we forget how to be still. But the truth is, the more we rush around, the more we drown out the very thing that can guide us. What are we doing? Because the more we rush around, the more we're drowning out the very thing that guides us. See, remember, Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." God is telling you to be still, not because He's punishing you. It's not a timeout. It's simply because in the stillness, we find His presence. We find the strength to keep going. We find the guidance that we've been praying for. But We miss all of it when we refuse to slow down. So if you feel you need permission, this is it. Go ahead and cancel that noise. And you know what? Let them call you distant. Let them think that you're acting different. Let them say that you're changing because you are. You are. And that's the point of all of this. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to evolve. We know better, so we're supposed to do better. So when they tell you that you changing and you acting brand new, don't hang your head low. Hold your head up high and say, "Baby, you're absolutely right. I am brand new." Right? Hold your head up high knowing that you're changing, evolving, growing, shifting in a way that they might not understand, and that's okay. Because what's for me is for me, right? Jesus wasn't concerned about the opinions of the crowds when he withdrew. He wasn't trying to explain himself to nobody. He ain't had to get on social media and make no post that I'm separating myself from social media and I'm getting off the book and I'm canceling this account because I need to withdraw. No, he ain't got to explain himself to anybody. He knew the importance of retreating to spend time with God. He understood that in order to do the work that he was called to do, that he had to go refuel, recalibrate, reconnect. And if Jesus, our Savior, took the time to retreat, to step away from the demands of the world to pray and realign, what makes you think that we can survive without doing the same thing? This isn't about being distant for the sake of avoiding people or pushing them away. It is about us creating a sacred space to be with God, to hear his voice, and to center ourselves in his truth. When you take the time, that's solitude. That sacred space with God, you know, you start hearing things that you couldn't hear before. You start seeing things that you couldn't see before. You gla- gain clarity on your purpose. You get a better understanding of your relationships, on your next steps. You start recognizing that the path you're on doesn't always need to look like everyone else's. No longer do you feel the need to keep up with the others, right? And when you begin to understand your purpose in the quiet moments, you'll gain a strength to face whatever noise the world throws at you. So don't be afraid of solitude and don't be afraid to be different. Your time alone with God isn't a rejection of others. It is literally a reclamation of yourself, and it's a chance for you to refresh your spirit and a way to honestly get right with your creator. When you come back from this retreat, right? Whether it's a day, a weekend, a week, take 30 days if you want to. Disconnect, right? But when you come back, you're going to come back stronger, more aligned, more centered in who you are and what God is actually calling you to do. Remember, Matthew 6:6 says, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." That secret time with God is where the real work happens. It's where your inner strength is built. It's where your spirit is renewed. It's where God whispers things to you that you need to hear, that is only meant for you to hear. things that can't be heard in the noise of the world. So, again, I encourage you, go be distant for a while. Let them talk, let them wonder, but you'll know the truth. In that closet, you are recharging, you are refueling, you are realigning with your purpose. And when you come back, you'll be ready to step into your calling with a fresh strength, new wisdom, and divine clarity. That's when you begin to relearn yourself, right? It's been years, right? You're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. It's a blessing when we hit them 60s and them 70s, y'all. But there's never a moment where we don't need to relearn ourselves. And so when you're alone, you stop performing. You stop editing your personality for others. You stop contorting yourself to fit in spaces that were never built with you in mind. When you're alone, you start asking yourself uncomfortable questions. What do I actually like? Right? What do I actually like when nobody's watching? What genuinely brings me peace? Not what looks good for Instagram, right? But what makes me seem successful? What settles my spirit? Do I even believe the things that I say I believe? Or did I just inherit those beliefs out of a need for survival, out of loyalty, out of fear? When you're alone, you start becoming you again. Not the version of you that was shaped by your trauma, not the one who learned to be quiet to keep the peace, not the one who shrunk to be more digestible in a world that didn't know how to hold on to your full flavor. I'm talking about the you that has been waiting, the you that was silenced when they told you that you're too sensitive, the you that had to grow up too fast, be too strong, and to smile when you really needed to scream, right? The you that knows what joy feels like, not just what it looks like. Being alone gives you that space to peel back those layers, to unlearn the lies that you believed about your worth, your beauty, your voice. You begin to realize that you weren't too much, that you were just in rooms that couldn't handle you, that you weren't unlovable. You just gave your love to people who didn't know how to hold it. You weren't broken. You were just bending to survive. Solitude becomes your mirror. It shows you who you've been, but more importantly, that mirror shows you who you're becoming. And only you get to decide what stories you want to keep, what parts of you are true, and which ones were just coping. You get to decide which version of you feels most aligned with the life that you want. And listen, relearning is a process. It's not always smooth, right? It's a part of healing, and we know that healing is not linear. So sometimes as we're relearning, it feels like grieving because we're grieving friendships that we've now outgrown. We're grieving the dreams that were never truly ours. We're grieving the version of ourselves that played it safe just to be accepted. But on the other side of that grief is authenticity, clarity, freedom. You start building a life that actually fits. You start dressing in your own skin again. No mask, no filter, no approval needed. And the most beautiful part is that you stop looking for other people to validate the real you because now you know her, right? You know her. You know him. You trust them. You love her. You love him. And when that happens, nobody can gaslight you back into shrinking. Because, see, now you know the traps. You know the difference in numbing instead of healing, right? We're careful not to turn solitude into isolation. We're going to watch out for the distractions. And by distractions, I mean that scrolling, that binge watching stuff, that overworking. We know better because our healing requires presence. So I'm not going to numb myself. I'm not going to sit here and romanticize the past. I don't want that old thing back, y'all. I refuse to allow loneliness to make me forget why I left in the first place. Missing someone doesn't mean that they were good for you. I'm going to let it go, y'all. Let it go and let God have his way with it because I don't want that no more. And I'm also overthinking that solitude means that something's wrong, right? Because solitude means that something is right. It means that I'm finally taking the time to realign. Now, before we wrap up, y'all, I want to speak life into you for a moment. If you can hear my voice right now, I want you to know something. You are allowed to outgrow who you used to be. Yeah, you heard that right. You are allowed. You are allowed to leave behind the stories that no longer serve you. You are allowed to release the versions of yourself that were created in survival mode. The ones that wore masks just to fit in, just to feel safe, just to be loved. You don't owe them any explanation for your evolution. You don't need to apologize for your growth. And you don't need permission from anyone, not your friends, not your family, not society, to step into the woman or man or person you're becoming. No permission slip required. You have been carrying too many expectations for far too long. The weight of their opinions and their judgments and their comfort zones have kept you stuck for far too long. Hey, Colossal. It is time for you to release that weight because you get to decide who you are now. You get to decide who you will continue to become. You are allowed to disconnect, to reconnect with God, with your truth, with your purpose. There is a misconception that being connected means being constantly available, constantly on, constantly plugged in. That's a lie. True connection starts with disconnection. You can't hear the quiet whispers of your soul if you're drowning in the noise of the world. So, in case nobody has told you, it is okay to take time for yourself, to turn off the notifications, to step away from the places and spaces that no longer fuel you. I encourage you to disconnect from the chaos, from the pressure, from the need to prove yourself to anyone. When you disconnect, you make space for something sacred. You make space for divine clarity, for spiritual growth, and for the ability to hear your own heart for once. So remember, you are absolutely allowed to be alone. and still be whole. You are not incomplete because you were single. You have simply chosen solitude because you've learned that peace is better than being left in pieces. You are whole. You were whole from the moment that you came into this world. And as you journey through life, you are simply rediscovering that wholeness piece by piece, layer by layer. So when the world questions your need for time alone, when they wonder why you don't go out as often as you used to, when they ask you why you always by yourself lately, here's your truth. You tell them, because I'm learning how to love me better, so I never have to beg anyone else to. And I promise y'all, that is not just a response, that is a whole declaration. You tell them, I'm learning how to love me better, so I never have to beg anyone else to. That is a statement of power. It's a declaration that you've learned the art of self ownership, that you've learned how to stand firm in your own light without needing validation or approval from anyone, that you're no longer seeking external love because you've cultivated it from inside out. And most importantly, it's a declaration that you will never again abandon yourself for the comfort of anyone else. When you know how to love yourself, you set the tone for how other people love you. You no longer accept the scraps or the bare minimum. You no longer settle for relationships or situations that don't honor your worth. You demand, not out of ego, but out of self-respect, that if they're not meeting you at the level you deserve, I'm good. Right? If you can't meet me at the level that I deserve, that I know I deserve, I'm good on you. I don't want you to nickel and dime me. I don't want you to ration out love to me. If you can't love me the way I need to be loved, I don't want your love. Let's be clear. Loving yourself isn't narcissism. It isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's the foundation for everything you want to build in life. When you love yourself, you stop performing. You stop pretending to be someone you're not just to make everybody else comfortable. You stop dimming your light to make other people's light shine brighter. You are allowed to outgrow the past. You are allowed to evolve into who you were always meant to be. You are allowed to disconnect to reconnect to your higher purpose. And you are absolutely allowed to be alone and still be whole. So anyone, don't let any situation convince you otherwise. The final challenge that I have for you guys today: take yourself on a soul date, right? Take yourself somewhere, a coffee shop, a park, a quiet corner in your house. No phone, no playlist. Yeah, that's going to be hard for me. I like no music. But look, no phone, no playlist, just you. Then write a letter to your future self that starts with this line. Get y'all's pencils. I want you to write a letter to yourself in the silence that starts with this line. Thank you for not abandoning me when I needed you the most. Thank you for not abandoning me when I needed you the most. Y'all remember, solitude isn't selfish, it is sacred. I don't know how many times I can say this. It's not about pushing other people away, it's about pulling yourself back in. It's about realizing that before the titles, before the roles, before all the expectations, you were just you. And that version of you, she matters. He matters. They matter. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not broken. You are healing. You are remembering. You are returning home to yourself. And I get it. I get it. Being alone can feel uncomfortable at first. It's quiet, it's different, it's not what the world tells you to chase. But in that quiet, that is where your soul starts speaking louder than any of your fears. That is where you learn that the sound of your own voice honestly sounds good, right? That's where the healing whispers into your life. So I just want to leave you with this. You don't need permission to pause. You don't need applause to validate your peace. And you sure don't need anyone else to co sign your healing journey. You deserve soft mornings where you rise slowly. You deserve nights where your mind isn't racing. You deserve people who make you feel safe being exactly who you are. But most importantly, you deserve to be that safe space for yourself first. Because when you learn to be whole alone, you'll stop settling for these half relationships, half friendships, half life. So breathe deep, take your time, and trust the process. Even if no one else gets it, even if you have to walk alone in it for a while, because there's a version of you waiting on the other side of this solitude that is stronger, wiser, and finally free. Remember, you're not behind, you're not late, you are right on time for your own life. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to say thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed our time together, please be sure to give us a follow. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on our latest content. And don't forget to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org. There, you could book a personalized one on one coaching session with me. We also have affirmative apparel and other motivational merch, as well as a treasure trove of free resources designed just for you. So, whether you're looking to elevate your self care game or you just want to find a little extra inspiration to help you get through the day, know that we've got you covered. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the Self Care Club community, and I'm excited to connect with you all again soon. But until next time, I encourage you to keep breathing, stay positive, and remember that you will always be supported here at the Self Care Club. This is a reminder for you to protect your peace, prioritize your soul, and never forget that you deserve the kind of love you're learning to give yourself. So don't be afraid to take up space and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that you all have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose. And I look forward to us reconnecting again soon. Thank you.